Hello wonderful people, it's Wild here. Today I'll be showing you how to build a Tudor style house. This build features the classic timber woodwork and white walls that are characteristic of Tudor builds, as well as sloping gables and brickwork. So let's get creating this stylish house. The materials you'll need for this build are on your screen now. Here is the outline for today's build. You can see it's essentially two rectangles stuck together with a gap at the front for a doorway, and then coming out of each of the corners is a location for some decorations on the posts. We're going to begin our build using some spruce logs to create some posts that are 5 high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are going in the corners of the build. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got them in the 4 corners of this rectangle. Then I'm going to put ones here and here to connect the 2 rectangles and add in the rest of the corners of this one. Like this. Then we're going to connect up each of these posts with a beam like this, going around the outline of the build. Now I'm also going to add some interior beams, but you don't have to do this. This is just a purely decorative finish for the interior of the build, but you can see that I've put them across here and divided this section into 2 3x3 squares. Next I'm going to come out from each of the joints from the post and the beam with a log like this. And then I also want to place one centered here, so that's 3 blocks away on either side. And it should line up with the interior beam as well. And then I'll place one centered on this wall as well, so it should be 3 in from either side. So above, this is what we've got, as well as from the front of the build. For the walls, I'm going to start by placing in the location of the windows. I'm going to have a 3 wide window centered on the front wall here, 1 in this gap, a 3 wide window at the back, and so it should be 2 in from either side, 1 here at the back, and then 2 windows on this side, and you can see there's a 3 block gap in the center. I can then put in my glass. I'm using light grey stained glass here, as I think this works really well for Tudor style builds, but you could use a white stained glass or even regular glass. And I'm just going 2 glass panes high. And there we go. So now that I've got my window locations put in, it'll make it easier to put in the walls. I'm going to start by placing some stone bricks on either side of the windows, leaving a gap like that. I'll do this on each one. So now we've got these decorative stone bricks around each of the windows, and then I want to fill in the walls using a little bit of granite, but mainly bricks. The granite's just there to add a little bit of texture. So I'll place in a few blocks of granite and then fill in with the bricks. And don't forget, you can always take a step back and see where the granite is and make some adjustments. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I might add maybe 1 more up here onto the next wall, and I'll do the same thing. Now when I'm working on this back wall, I don't want to totally mirror the wall on the other side. Just want it to have a natural appearance. I think that's good, and I'll fill in the rest with my bricks. Now I've got this little gap in the wall here, and I can just add in some granite and keep working my way around the build using a little granite as I go. Now we've got these final 2 walls, I can fill in this little gap here And then for where I've got my door going, I just need to leave a 2 high gap for the door itself. And once again, I'm going to add a little bit of texture in with some granite. Now that the bases of the walls are in, we can add a few details. So to each of the posts, I'm going to add a design like this. So I'm just putting stairs on the top and the bottom, and then I'm adding in some dark oak fences in the gap. Then I'm going to switch to some dark oak slabs, and I'm going to be connecting up all the way around the outline of the build like this. If you're enjoying today's tutorial and would like to see more builds like it, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to support me further, consider checking out my Patreon. You can join a server to play alongside me and get personalised build help. Now we're going to work on some details for each of the windows. For the 3 wide windows, I'm starting by placing some stairs along the bottom and then 2 dark oak fence gates in the centre. I'll put some trapdoors either side of this to create a little frame, and then a larger frame I'm going to build 3 high with some trapdoors on the outside edge here. So I'm actually placing these trapdoors on the blocks beside the windows. Then I'll go across the top with some dark oak slabs. So it should look like this, and I'll create this same design on the other side. Now for the 1 wide windows, I'll just be placing in a dark oak stair, 2 fence gates, and a slab on top, and then finishing off the sides with 3 trapdoors on either side. So it should look like this. It's a compact version of the 3 wide windows. Now for some door decorations, I've got some chiseled stone brick and some stone brick stairs. The chiseled stone brick will go either side like that, and then I'll place an upside down stair facing outwards away from the door. Then I'll place a right way up one on either side, and then one coming forward like this. It should create a little archway over the door. Now's a good time to add in the floor. I'll be using polished andesite for the bottom story, and I'll be placing one in here between these 2 brick sections, and then I'll just be filling in the whole floor. You can use whatever you'd like here, but I just think polished andesite looks like a really nice sturdy tiles, which is perfect for the bottom floor of a house like this. I can also put in my door now, and I'll be placing this from the outside on this andesite block here so it swings inwards. While I'm inside the build, I'm also going to put in some dark oak slabs for the floor of the 2nd story and for the roof of the 1st story, just filling in the gaps between all of the beams. By using slabs here, you can see we get a really pretty design on the interior of the build. Alright, for the 2nd story we'll start with some spruce logs, building up 5 high to create some more posts. Once again, I'm placing these in each of the corners of the build here. And then I'll add in some interconnecting ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure I fill in these corners here as well. And now we can add in some ones in between. On these front walls, I want to space them so there is a 3 block gap like this. And I'll do that on the back as well. In these 5 wide sections, I want them to be 2 blocks apart. And then finally for this long wall here, I want them to be 4 blocks apart like this. So here you can see where we've got our posts in. Now I'm going to connect these up with some beams, and I'll start with the ones that are going to be a block below the top of these 5 high posts. So I can go almost all the way around the build like this, and this should leave you with 3 blocks at the bottom and 1 block free at the top. I am going to skip over this section and this section, however, and jump straight on to these 4 wide sections. It's easy to just keep going around, but make sure you leave these ones free. But make sure you fill in these little gaps here. For the ones we've left free, we're going to build them at the whole height of the build, so that should leave us with 4 gaps at the bottom. So it should look like that. And I'm going to go 1 block on top of each of the posts like this, all the way around the build. And where we've got them now 2 blocks below, I'm going to put in another beam. So you can see we've got some double beamed sections now. Now I'm going to extend some of these posts, so this one has to go up another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then this center one here goes up another 2 blocks. And then I'm going to line up and find this center post on the other side and go up another 2. Once again, this one needs to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to mirror the one at the front of the build. Now you can see there's quite a lot going on here, but all of these posts and beams are going to provide a great structure for adding in the walls. Before we add those in though, I'm going to use a few more logs, and I'm going to come out of the build like this, just wherever there is a join. In this kind of row, so I won't be placing them up here as we're going to be having the roof up there. When I come round to these taller sides, I'll just continue at the same level and have them here and here, and then continue connecting up the joins, leaving the front gap. So it should look like that. I am going to place a log in here and here now, so this is a block above. And then round here where we'll have another gable, I'll do the same thing like that. Round at the back, I'll do the same thing again. And then here at the side, we need to put in some more of these beams sticking outwards, and I'm going to count 2 logs across and place them there. 1, 2. You can see that there should be a 5 block gap between them, and they're kind of a 1 block gap away from these here. But that's how the side wall should look. Now we're going to switch to some different materials. I've got some calcite, some white wool, some white concrete powder, and birch wood. That's the one where if you have a look, it's got the same birch bark texture all the way around. We're going to be using these for the walls, as well as some light grey stained glass for the windows. Now here I just want to randomize the texture of these blocks. This just takes a little bit of time to get the look that you want. And you want each of the panels to be just a bit different. I'll then put a 2 high window in here, and it should reach the height of the post. But our panels should look about like that. Let's do all of these 3 wide ones first. That's the ones on the front. Then I'll come around and do the 3 wide ones on the back. And once again, I don't want to be fully mirroring, so I'll just look over to the other side of the build. The distribution you use of these blocks is up to you. You just want to find a look that you are happy with. So now that those gaps are filled in, let's do these ones where there is a 2 block gap. So once again, I'll start filling in with these materials. But here I'm going to be centering my window so it's right beside the center post. So I've got this one here, and the window on this side will be also next to this same post, so on the other side of the 2 wide gap. Like that. I'll use a similar technique here on these two wide sections, but my window is going to be kind of like this. It's centered in the wall, so there'll be a block above it as well. And then once again, I'll fill in the wall with some randomized blocks. So it should look like this. I'll do the same thing on the front side. Next, I'll fill in these little gaps here, and we don't need glasses, there's no window, but I will use some of my blocks to add some texture. So you'll have some of that and then a calcite. And then we have these 4 wide sections to fill in. So for here, I'm going to start by building across the bottom, just with a mixture of my blocks. And then I'm going to create a 2x2 window pane in the center. And then I'll just fill in the sides. One thing to keep in mind when using this birch wood is it can be placed in one of 2 directions, with the details going horizontally or vertically, and I like to mix them up throughout the build. The next wall sections we need to fill in are these gaps between the double beams. Once again, I'll be using some texture here and just taking my time as I go around. It's always a good idea when doing this kind of thing to take a step back and have a look at your build from different angles and make sure that you've got a nice distribution of your blocks. And you can think about how these walls are going to meet up, so I didn't want to put my birch block up here as it would be right next to this one. So that's all of those gaps filled in, and now we need to start adding in some gables. Now the plan for this gable is we're going to be following up in this pattern. I'll build it out of just calcite to begin with, and then I'll randomize my blocks. So you've got this block here, then I'll come up 2, and then another gap of 2, and this should leave you with 2 at the top. Now let's do that using our randomized textured blocks. So I've come up 2 high here. Now I'll just come up another 2 high, like that. And I'll do the same on the other side. So 2 and then 1 more grouping of 2. So that's how we've got on the taller gables, and I'll do that on the other side as well. So here. So we've got our steps of 2, and on the other side. Like that. Now for these smaller gables, we're going up in steps of 1. So I'll just place that like this. So you can see I'm level here. Now I want to come up 1 higher with my spruce log here. This log isn't going to be visible from the outside, but we're going to need it to place it in some blocks later. I'll do the same thing on the other side and then fill in the point of my gable. Like that. Let's have a look at how the walls look so far. It's almost time to add on the roof, but before we do that, I'm going to add in our chimneys, as these will be kind of breaking into the shape of the roof. I'm going to start with one on the back of this section where we've got our lower gable, and I'm going to be counting in, so I'm on top of these blocks here. Now I want to build up 2 high on top of these blocks, then come back and build in and fill in this gap here, so that way when you're looking from the gable, it's solid like that. Now on top of here, on these 2 blocks facing towards the other side here, I'm going to come up 2 high with my stone brick, and then I'll use some stone brick stairs, placing them upside down to create a design, with some stairs facing towards these blocks on top. On top of that, I'll put some chiseled stone bricks here, and then finish off with 2 more stone bricks. Now for some walls, I'll have one here, on top of here, and then I'm going to have these coming up this side. Now we've got the roof going on these blocks here, so I'll leave a gap free and then come up 3 blocks. Here's how that should look. To finish off the top of this chimney, I'll just place in 2 pots. For the next chimney, I'll come over to the left-hand side of the build towards the back, and I'm going to be finding these blocks here. I'll start by placing some stone brick on top, and as I'm building up, I'm going to be using some stone brick stairs to add a little bit of texture. So I'll be placing one here upside down, then I'm going to come up 1 more layer of some stone bricks on top, like that, and then I'll be coming towards the back of the build. We should have an upside down L shape like this. Now I'm going to come up a few more layers, mixing in some stone brick stairs as I go. I've gone up 1 more layer on top here, and then I'll do 1 more on top of that. Like this. And this should leave you with a 5 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chunk of stone brick. And you can see it's got these blocks missing at the back. I'll go on top of this with 4 chiseled stone brick. So it should have a top like this. Then I'll go on with some stairs, facing them upside down and towards the front of the build, and then upside down and towards the back of the build. Then I'll have some right way up on top. Finally, to finish off this chimney, I'll just put some stone brick walls on top and then 4 pots. Here's how it should look. Continuing on with the stone brick, we're going to create some edging for our roofs, and this will help us define the outline. I'm going to start with these ones on the higher gables, and for this I'm going to build out so I am 1 block out from this beam that is sticking out here. I'm going to leave this block, and then I'm going to come up 1 more, and then I'm going to place an upside down stair in. Now you could use some placeholder blocks for this. I'm just using some more stairs and breaking them as I go, but dirt would work really well as well. So you can see that I've placed 1 upside down and then 1 right way up on top. I'll do this again, upside down and then right way up on top. Oops. And then I'll finish off with 2 blocks at the top of the peak. So I've got stair, stair, upside down stair, block, block. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the gable. By placing in these stairs upside down, a little bit of the brick from the actual roof is going to peek through, and that'll give a really attractive finish to the front of the build. So here's how that should look. I'm going to create the same gable design on the other side, remembering to come 1 forward from these posts. Like this. Now for the gable decorations on the 2 smaller gables. Once again, I'll be coming forward from this post here, and I'll be just working my way up the height of the build. Now I'm not going to be placing stairs underneath here, as I want the brick stairs from the layer behind to show through. And then to finish off the top, I'll just use a slab like that. Now for the other side. Now that we've got all of these gable edging in, it'll make it a lot easier to put in the roof. Now for this roof, you'll need blocks, stairs and slabs of both granite and bricks, and we'll be using just a bit of granite, like we did down here on the foundation of the build, to add some texture. Now we need to be connecting up this roof, which has a stair gradient, to this one here, which will have a stair block gradient, and we'll start on the one with just a stair gradient to begin with. I'll mix in some of my granite as I go along. And I'm just going to come up to this point here. I'll go all the way up the build like this. Now I find it easiest to work in little sections when I'm randomizing, but you can do whatever feels natural to you. So I've got this little section here, and I can work my way along. Got a little section here with some granite going in. And once again, when randomizing, always take a step back and check you like how it's coming together. And I'll continue working my way up to the top of the build. Once I get to the top, I'll use some slabs to finish it off. So that's the front face done. Now onto the back one, and here I've got the chimney, so I'll just avoid placing blocks right there. I do, however, want to work around it, and you might have a bit more wear and tear on the roof just around the chimney, so I'll be using some more granite along there. Now when I'm working here, I need to come right behind the chimney. These blocks can be a little tricky to place. Even in Creative, I recommend standing on them and holding shift to reach to the edge of the block, and then make sure you're placing in the bottom corner here. That way they'll be placed in the right direction and upright. Alright, so that's the first section of the roof complete. Now I'm going to start on this taller slanted roof, and I'll just be filling in these beginning sections and then I'll connect up. So I'm going to be going up by a stair first, one more grouping of just stairs, and you can see I'm wrapping this round so it connects with the roof that we've got here, and then I'm going to go in with a layer of blocks. And I'm just going to come along to this point here. Then I'll have some more stairs sitting on top. Once again, just coming to this point, and another row of bricks. One more stairs, and then 2 layers of bricks here. So it should look like this on this side, and I'll do the same thing over here. 2 layers of stairs, then I'll have a layer of blocks, and I'm coming over one more into the build like that. So there should be a 3 block gap between these 2 here. Then I'll have a layer of stairs again, layer of blocks, I want to break up this long strip of granite that I've got here. And this is why it's so important to take a step back and look at the build. So I'm just going to move these granite blocks a few blocks. I'm then going to start connecting up these roofs here, just by placing in some blocks here. And now to connect them, I'm just going to use a few stairs and some more blocks. And this is just about running one into another. Here I'll need some slabs to fill in this gap, and then I'll come up the other side with some more stairs. Now for this gap, I'll need to come across the back with some blocks, and then some stairs to finish it off. So here's how this side of the roof should be looking. Now let's work on the other side. For this side of the roof, I'm going to start with some stairs, and I'm going to be wrapping them around as I go to connect up here, as we don't have quite as much room to work with. So I've got this first layer wrapping around, connecting up the stone brick. Once again, I'll come up, wrapping around my stairs, so I've got 2 layers of stairs in. And then I'll just follow these layers of stairs up to the height of this smaller gable here. Making sure you make some adjustments to your randomization as you go. Finishing off with some slabs, and now I'll do the same thing on the other side, just leaving out the blocks where the chimney is. Once again, I want a bit more of the wear and tear around the base of the chimney. I'll make some adjustments there. I think I'll put this block here and that block there. Then I'll come up 2 blocks high, and then I'll just fill in this gap. Like that. Now we need to fill in the section of roof behind this. First, we've got a layer of blocks going in here. And I'll just come so it connects up here. And I'll do the same on the other side. Here we've got a chimney, so you can run just straight into the chimney like this, or if you'd like a more finished look on the interior of the build, you can come underneath and place in 2 bricks here and here. And then I'll come 1 more over once again, so I'm connecting up with this stair, leaving a 3 block gap in the center. And I'll go on top of that with some more stairs. And I can connect these all the way up to the roof. Like that. I can also come 1 further back with my brick slab here to connect up to the wall behind it. Now we have another layer of blocks, and I can go all the way behind the build here, making sure I step back and check my randomized texture. Like that. And finally, we're going to put some more stairs on top. So here's how this side of the roof should look. Now for underneath each gable, I'm going to use some stairs and place them upside down like this. In the center, I'll have the stair facing forwards. This gives a much cleaner edge. On these 2 high ones, I just need to place them on the joins. And you can see how the block shows through here because we had these stairs in the outline. And then we can get working on some details on the walls and the windows. For these details, I'll be using a bunch of different dark oak things, as well as some oak trapdoors and some ladders. I'm going to come in and add a ladder to my build. I'm going to place mine here. You can have yours wherever you'd like. I'm using this to access the 2nd story, as I want to place some oak trapdoors behind each of the windows. This will help achieve the paned look that we want for these windows. Alright, so they're all done. Now we got to add some details to the exterior. One of the most distinctive things about a Tudor house are all of the posts and beams and all of the woodwork that goes into the walls. Now we've got quite a few here with our posts and beams, but I'm going to use some dark oak materials to enhance that. I'm going to start by placing some stairs underneath each of these logs here, and these are connecting up kind of from these posts that are sticking out. Like that. Now I'm going to switch to some dark oak trapdoors, and I'm going to go all the way across these gaps here underneath the gables. You can see here on these ones I'm coming underneath the logs. The other thing that's important to keep in mind is that you want to be able to place things on top of these trapdoors. So if you're unable to do that, it means you have your trapdoors up on this level here. See how it goes on the block above? So in that case, you just need to drop it down and place it on the block below like that. Now I'm going to grab out some dark oak fences, and on these smaller gables, I'm just going to place them either side of the center post. Like that. Now on the large gables, I'm going to go either side of the post, but I'm also going to use some fence gates. I'll place these in here and here, and then spaced one block apart in each of these sections. This gives a really cool Tudor look. Like that. Now I'm going to grab some more dark oak fences and come underneath each of these posts and beams. And now I'm going to use some dark oak trapdoors to add some more details. They're going at the bottom of each of these posts. And then I'm going to place them either side of these sections like this. Here I'm not going to put any, but I'm going to rotate round to this side and place some here. Once again, none on this face, but I'll place them in here. And I'm going to leave this face free as well. We've got a few more important details to add, like some buttons, leaves, some chains, and some lanterns. So let's get working on those. Putting the buttons underneath each of the windows. Like that. Now let's start adding in some chains and lanterns. I'm just finishing up adding some leaves to the roof of my build. You can see that I've draped these around the chimney, coming down in front of some of the gables, and in the join in the roof. Having these leaves like this, and I'm using spruce here as I've placed my build in a spruce biome, helps break up the large red face of the roof, and it adds a bit of life to the build and makes it feel as if this build has been here for a while. You can see I've also placed some bushes around the base of my build, and for this I've used oak leaves just to break up the colours a little bit. I've got some lanterns around, and I've added some lighting to a little path here, as well as some more greenery with these azalea bushes and some flowers, and I've gone with white here. The simple colours work well with the white we've got in our Tudor style walls. You can see that the lighting we've hung in front of these gables helps illuminate all these details that we've put in here and really showcases the Tudor effect. I've also got them above these two high windows and in these smaller gables, and I've tucked some more hidden lighting under some moss. That way the whole build has a light touch to it. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. It really means a lot to me. And if you'd like to support me more, check out my Patreon. See you in another video.